Make sure.
All right, folks, if you'll find your seats. Gang's all here. All right, folks online can hear me okay? We have nice. We have 10 people joining us online, so welcome. And welcome to our first meeting of 2024. Yeah. We had a great first year. And if you want to recap, check your newsletters and your emails, but it was pretty good. But now it's year 2, so it's got to be even bigger, better, more plants and more people. So no pressure on all of us. So we have some chapter business. We have our featured speaker, Ranger Ann. We have our plant of a month with a special twist, which you'll learn soon. And then a whole bunch of upcoming events that we're really excited about. At the end, we'll ask for any updates from y'all or any questions from our members. And then finally, growing your roots, that's your chance just to talk. Maybe introduce yourself to a fellow plant lover that you haven't met before. So, and y'all online can do that in the chat too. All right, so chapter business. So we have South Carolina Native Plant Society is a member-based organization. You do not have to be a member, but your membership fees help us do cool things. Some of the upcoming events that you'll see later tonight. Babs will be our new membership chair after we vote in about 2 minutes. So, but assuming that goes through, she is our new membership chair, and if she has all of our current memberships, and you can check and see if your membership has expired, and you can go ahead and renew that, or you'll just know and you can take care of it on your own time. If you have any questions, Babs can help you out. Yeah. So woohoo! And we had over 100 members once we ended last year, so we went from 0 to 100. I think that's pretty good. Yeah. So chapter leadership, we're upgrading this year for year 2. We were formerly the steering committee. Now we're becoming the chapter board. So lots of big changes, namely just that. But we will in about a minute officially confirm our chapter leadership. But I do want to point out that we have 3 committees that are going on. We have our education, communication, and plant market committee. If you have any questions, you can talk to those chairs. And if there's something you're interested in doing that we're not yet doing, let us know. We'll see if we can make it happen. You can be your own committee of one and work on some project or recruit some friends. So, yeah. So here are your board officers for 2024. And last year I promised we'd become more of a democracy. So they're running unopposed. And what we're gonna do, not very official, but I'm gonna ask you if you approve. If you approve, you can raise your hand or give me a thumbs up in the chat. And then I'm gonna ask if anyone opposed, and hopefully no one says no, because I don't have a plan if something. So I will be your president for 2024. Your vice president will be Tierney in the back. Our treasurer will be Jan, just so you walk in. Education chair, Maeve. Membership chair, Babs. And then we have a couple members at large. So we have Kara in the back, Aaron and Sudi, who could not be here today. But this isn't that exclusive of a club. If you're ever interested in joining the board, let us know and we'll see if we can find a place for you. So, do you all approve? So many thumbs up. Woo! All right, great. Any opposed? All right, we're all good. Yay! Congrats to our new elected officers. If you really missed your chance to get into this election, we'll probably sort of do what we've done last year, which is we sort of generally say, are you interested? If you're interested, you talk to us, and then we'll probably have maybe a more official, like, I don't know, application in the end, because I imagine these positions will be real competitive. because everybody wants to do all this. All right, so yay. So enough of that. Your board officers have recently met earlier this month and have lots of exciting things to talk about. One of those, Kara's going to present and talk about this upcoming project the chapter is going to be involved with.
Thank you. Okay, so as some of you may or may not know, I am your Waccamaw River Keeper. And along with our organization, Winyah Rivers Alliance, as well as the North Inlet Winyah Bay National Estuary and Research Reserve, MAVE being their representative, and the Waccamaw Watershed Academy with Victoria being the representative. You guys see kind of a theme here with us running things. We host an annual event previously called the Waccamaw Conference. It was a one-day event, but we have expanded to a whole week to make it more accessible and more fun. And this year we, since we're all so heavily involved in the Native Plant Society, we thought, what better theme than plants? We've actually never done a Waccamaw week with a theme related to plants. So our theme this year is Grow with the Flow. We're going to be hosting a bunch of events through the week, but the most exciting one for our chapter is a native plant garden installation at the city of Conway on Saturday, March 30th. So we have a little bit of time before that's coming, but we know that we don't get to see y'all as often as we'd like to. So we wanted to put a bug in your ear for now because we will need your help. So just so you get an idea, this is kind of the plot we're looking at. It's right by the Conway Marina. We are working on a proposal, an official proposal, but we have tentative approval from the city of Conway, which is awesome. But as you can see, there's a lot of shade in this garden. But she is beautifully placed right by the river, right downtown, really accessible from the Riverwalk. It's going to be a great spot to get people to understand the importance of native plants and kind of have a demo garden downtown. So what we're looking for is we're going to be looking for installation volunteers the day of, which is March 30th. I'm sure you will be bombarded with more information about this event. We're also looking for plant donations. If you have some great plants that you're propagating and you think they would do well in this garden, we would be happy to have them. We're also looking, if you don't have plants, but you want to help us out a little bit, as a 501c3, we can accept donations. So we would love donations for this garden. And then we will be the garden maintenance team. So as our chapter, we will actually adopt this garden and be in charge of maintaining it. Because if we let the city maintain it, it's just going to look like black mulch or this with, and that crepe myrtle is going to disappear. And so probably will these hollies. So, yeah, so we're going to be working on that. We have a little committee that's working on a garden design. We're also working on that proposal. It's part of Waccamaw Week. There's a chat, so I want to see. Can you please provide the sunlight and soil conditions for the garden? Yes, we're working on that. We will share more of that information as we have it. And when we have kind of a list of desired plants, we'll reach out. But we just wanted to put a bug in your ear, let you know that it's coming and get excited for it. It'll be our first like big project as a chapter. So it's really exciting. Our big project that'll be ours, sort of. Questions, concerns, freakouts? All right, cool. You want the next slide? I don't know how to do it. There you go.
See?
Oh.
Oh.
Two and a half.
SCNPS.
Okay.
So you can put garden in the. Give it to you.
So with that great project, we realized we didn't have a lot of funds to support other projects. And so we're gonna copy what other chapters around the state are doing, which is to sell things. So you're looking at 2 t-shirts that the Low Country chapter designed, and then they're selling them. So members and anyone interested in native plants gets a cool t-shirt, and then that's how they're supporting their grant program for native garden installs like the one Kara just described. So we want to do a similar thing. So we're looking for art. This is not, this is a fundraiser for us, so we have some, a prize, a $25 gift card, but mostly it's eternal fame and glory within the chapter. And then they'll get a t-shirt and stickers with the design, but the goal is to help us promote native plants, promote our chapter, and get a product that we could sell at like plant sales, any event that we might be at that folks would want to buy a t-shirt. And I'm saying t-shirt right now, but we will, once we get a design, we'll talk to y'all about what you're most interested in. If no one wants another t-shirt, that's fine. Maybe we'll look into garden gloves or coffee mugs or something, but we want it to be useful to our members and we want it to raise money. So this is a QR code for that entry form. They're due February 29th, so we have about 6 weeks to get those designs in. And we'll present them to y'all and we'll see which one's going to be on our future t-shirt. And don't worry, we will send this out in the newsletter too. So yeah, anyone already, let me step back. You can share this with whoever you'd like. If you have a young artist in another state, you can send it to them. We're definitely going to try to circulate it with CCU students. But yeah, send this to whoever you want to design art. Cool. Any questions on that? Nice. All right. Well, that's all of our chapter business for now. Maeve's gonna come up and introduce our our feature speakers. Ranger.
Yeah, our chapter meeting speaker this month is Ranger Ann Wilson, who is going to talk about past, present, and future native plant efforts at Myrtle Beach State Park. So take it away.
Anticipation. I'm gonna let Maeve.
Should be good.
All right, great. All right, well, thanks, everyone. So how many of you have been to Myrtle Beach State Park? All right, so some of you helped out with a project that we'll talk about, but Myrtle Beach State Park is a really small park. It's only 312 acres and has a very high visitation rate, well over 1 million visitors a year. And in Myrtle Beach State Park, of 312 acres, we have 137 acres that is designated as a Heritage Trust site. And so that means it's just extra layer of protection because there are lots of people that think we should have more parking, we should have more camping, we should have more, right? That's kind of the theme of Horry County, right? More.
Yeah.
And so that's going to help us say, no, that's not what is important. What's important is protecting habitat and everything. And the other special thing about Myrtle Beach State Park, even though it's small, it is the only publicly accessible maritime forest in Horry County 365 days a year. There are other maritime forests in Horry County, but they're either not directly on the beach or you have to have special access to get into them and visit them. So that's what makes our park so special. But because we're in Horry County and we have such a huge population growing, that's causing, some challenges within the park. And so as we have more visitation, and how many of you have been here long enough that remember when, let's see, this is January. January was dead. No restaurants open, no traffic, no nothing, right? And I remember just in November, it was a random Thursday in November, like middle of November, we had a very late sea turtle nest. And I don't know if I have I don't know how I use, okay, there we go. Sorry, people are on Zoom.
But we had a sea turtle nest down here late in mid-November, kind of late sea turtle nest, and I scheduled a nest inventory to dig it up at 3 p.m. on a Thursday in November. No problem, right? All this parking, I couldn't park there. I had to park at the fishing pier. I had to walk a quarter of a mile to our sea turtle nest because there was no parking available. November on a Thursday. But clearly we know the weather was what? Nice. And so everybody's wanting to go to the beach. And so we're now with the challenge of state parks is trying to find enough resources of funding, time, and staff. And when that special moment all comes together, then moving forward with projects, right? And every day isn't the correct day sometimes, or the special moment. And so with a lot of you, just like our staff, our rangers, and I think I can speak for Mike Walker too, who's from Huntington, is many rangers have so many ideas and hopes and dreams, and the list is long and vast. And if it's a good day, we actually cross one off the list, right? And we don't add 5 more. But normally we're adding 5 more because we just want to do so many things. But alas, there's only so much time in the world. And so we just try to do our best. And so we celebrate the triumphs and we just keep trying to forge ahead, whether it was, you know, the best way we could have or the best way we could have with the time, the budget, and the resources that we have. And so one of the many challenges we have at the park, and we have so many duties because we just don't have enough staff, is battling the invasives. And about 12, 13 years ago, timing fell right where we had some money to that we could hire some professionals to come in and help with the invasives. And at our small little park, boy, we have so many invasive plants there. We have your typical, you know, your crepe myrtle and your Bradford pear. And then we have the English ivy that is just marching forward every second of every day. And we have the beach vitex, and then we have the Iliagnus, the autumn olives and the Russian olives. It's soon, you know, to become illegal to sell in South Carolina. So what a victory, right? Coming up in October. And then we have lots of ligustrum. And then that's just to name a few. We have lots more. And so how did they arrive here? Well, just like any native invasive plant, a myriad of ways. But, you know, one of the ways was, what did we do? We, as park staff, we planted them. We planted some of them. You know, as ornamentals, we all planted the crepe myrtles. Who here has planted a crepe myrtle, right? We have. Tierney, have you ever? Where's Tierney? Never. Good for you. But, you know, before we understood and had better knowledge, we planted them, you know, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And so, and others, you know, have come in just with other park guests, even our own park staff plant it in their own yards to, you know, just birds, you know, bird droppings and things. So we have a number of invasives just throughout the park. And so, we first started, like I said, 10, 12 years ago, we hired a professional company to come in and try to tackle some of the invasives in our park. But remember, 312 acres. And they came in twice and you know, used herbicides and everything. And for whatever of the many reasons, it just didn't take. And there was the time and the money there, and that moment moved on. And so forward now to 2020, right when COVID hit, and we started working with the ACE crew, the American Conservation. I always get this wrong. What's ACE stand for? American Conservation Experience Group. They're out of Asheville, this particular group. And so for 3 years, and they're going on 4 in March, they come into the park and they're a mighty group of 5, sometimes 6. And they're just, you know, young people with a lot of knowledge and a lot of energy. And for 2 weeks, I just go to work in our forest, battling our invasives. And obviously with 5 people, 2 weeks, it's a tiny amount that they do, but it's something that we have the funding for at this current moment. And that's what we can afford. And so like here, they're going, they went into our overflow campground, and in just 3 days alone, they took out, I think I had to take out 10 dump truck loads of ligustrum. And that was just in our overflow campground. So like I said, the challenges are vast and mighty, but it is a start, right? It's a start. And they're coming back in the last 2 years, they came back and kind of kept finding a little bit more, but you know, we'd seen a big difference there. And then we have just English ivy marching down the ground, marching up the trees. I tell everyone, like, Never, ever, ever. If there's one thing you can do, don't plant English ivy, you know, or, you know, oh, but it's so pretty right here. And I said, well, make sure it stays right there, right? Right there. And so I told him, you know, last year I said, at best, just go up the entrance road, cut the English ivy that is growing up the trees. Let's just give the trees a chance, right? Let's give them a little bit more light and a little bit less weight and let them thrive. And so, you know, they got to the trees that they could, and you know, it's a little difference, but to that tree, right? To that tree, it makes a difference. And then we have a couple of photo points where we're just really watching what happens through the years and taking photos and things. And it's hard to tell in this photo, but there's a lot of English ivy, ligustrum, and Iliagnus in there. And so the group came in and they did a great job, but look at the new problem we have. There's no growth, right? So it's going to take, you know, it's hard to say how long it's going to take for the natives to start creeping back, while at the same time we keep coming back and, you know, there's this little English ivy trying to take sprout, you know, and battling that back and not affecting any of the other natives trying to come in. So, you know, it's an interesting challenge. But with that, then sometimes we have groups, just small groups like yourselves. Some of you are in the room that helped out last year, come in just for a couple hours, and we take, again, a tiny section of the park and we just go to work, we go to battle. And how many of you were there last year? I know there's like 3 or 4 of you. I mean, we only worked, what, 2-3 hours, and it turned out it was super fun, but it was also like if Sudi was here, but Sudi and Tierney, it was like everywhere you turn, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get this one. Oh, but wait, there's this, and you know, and it's like, where do you turn? Because it's everywhere. And you can see some of these, they were large. They were very large. And our challenge is, you're like, well, Ann, why don't you do that every day? Just have groups come in, they're hard at work, and let's go. But what's my limiting factor? Time and staff. We can't just let everybody go in there because not everybody knows what to do. And also we have to be careful with herbicides and who can use herbicides safely and everything. So, you know, it's a challenge that we face, and we'll do what we can when we can and have fun with it and educate. And we just do the best we can, right? But that was a fun day, and we'll do it again. And then we also have, how many of you have heard of beach vitex? Oh, that's good. So beach vitex, it's a plant from Korea. And in the 80s, it was touted as a beautiful ornamental, and it's pretty. It's pretty. I like those purple. Purple's my favorite color too. So it was touted as a great ornamental and as a dune stabilizer. Well, that turned out to be dead wrong. All the things we learn, right? And so obviously in the 80s, a lot of people took it to heart, and man, it just got planted everywhere. And by the 90s, a lot of sea turtle volunteers and other folks started noticing that it's overtaking the sea oats. And the sea oats, the primary job of sea oats is to stabilize the sand dunes, our first line of defense against storms. And it was not, it was just actually leading to erosion on the sand dunes. And even all the runners and roots and things were actually trapping hatchling sea turtles as they're heading to the beach. And so we got a beach vitex group formed, and they had a lot of money, they had time, they had resources, they had the knowledge, and they went around both Carolinas finding out where all the beach vitex was, and also targeting it and cutting it out and using herbicides and everything. And they did a really great job of educating and getting rid of a lot of the beach vitex. But like everything else, we've all had this in our own personal and professional lives, is they did a really good job with that. So there goes the funding, right? And then there's a new problem, right? Whatever that problem was, you know, there was a new one. There's always a new one invasive out there. And so the group disbanded and moved on. And now as you look around the beach communities, who's noticing the beach vitex creeping back? It's not even really creeping back, it's there. Remember, I drove into Pawleys Islands probably like, what, 5 years ago on the south end. I went, wow, this place is covered in beach vitex. And so the same thing happened at our park. We had 2 little spots in our park, and we took care of it. And then, like everything else, I forgot about it. I got on to other things because I have so many different duties. And went back about 3 years ago. I went, huh, all right, back to work again. And today, this moment, you know, we have a really good handle on vitex. what will happen come spring with the new growing season or the fall, or if I get diverted in my duties and my attention and everything. But today, you know, we've done a really good job on our park at this moment. But it's something definitely to keep track of. So that's a little bit about our battles with the invasives, and we'll just continue battling. I mean, we're gonna battle until, right? There's no deadline. We're never gonna totally win it. But let's talk about our natives and some of the fun projects that we've been doing at the park. In 2017, some state parks got a pollinator grant from the Fish and Wildlife Service. And so that was really cool. So we get to put in, you know, use some seeds and plant some pollinator plots. I had kind of two problems. I have a lot of shade. I have a lot of maritime forests. And then I have a mile stretch of beach, which is throwing a lot of what? Throwing a lot of salt at it. So now where can I find some good open pollinator plots that aren't getting nailed by salt spray? And, oh, let's add in this one, a place where everyone's worked with either HOAs, your own family, friends, neighbors that are like, what's pretty? What's appropriate? Is that, you know, that's going to grow a little wild. I don't really like it right there. And so then I was like, well, how about here or here? And they're like, no, we don't really want it there. Okay. So I had to find appropriate places that everybody would be happy with. And we found some, I think we planted 6 or 7 plots. And like everything else, some are doing pretty well. Some are coming and going. And then of course, the year we planted, there was a big drought, right? Remember that, Mike? And so we were trying to get it all watered and everything. So, you know, it's just kind of good successes here and there. We got a couple signs up to educate public. So, you know, we're going to continue with these, but, you know, we have to still battle out the invasive, battle out the saplings. You know, as all of you who garden know, it's never done, right? And for those of you who have beautiful gardens, I can't even imagine how much time it takes you. And I don't know if I'm jealous. I'm probably not. It's right. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of hard work. Some other things we want to do a little bit better education. We still need to continue on with our education, but we went into I thought we'd put up some plant signs on our nature trail. And we used to have the Voss signs. If you've gone to a lot of state, national, county parks, the Voss signs are the plastic signs that just ID plants. And they're really literally all over the country because it's so easy to get. And I was like, oh, I think we can do better. So we decided to highlight the plants and that, you know, what's it look like if they have berries or if they have flowers, or what's the leaf look like if it's winter and they're deciduous, or maybe, you know, give a little fun facts about what the native is good with wildlife for. And so we did that. So if you go on our nature trail, I think I should know the number, but I've forgotten. It's probably about 20, 25 different plant signs on there, and we're always adding more. And then we added a couple of small plots at the pond and out at our nature center, also battling with the shade. So have fun with the Conway plot. But you know, it's just a fun challenge, right? And so we planted about 40 different plants, 20 different species. And, you know, like all gardens, they come and go. And then I get really creative, or I have volunteers at the time that we can really do good stuff. And then, you know, we wax and wane, and we put up a couple plant signs. But again, I just got a donation from the local Waccamaw Audubon Society. So we're going to improve on our plant signage and education here in the coming months. And then we had an Eagle Scout that was interested in native plants. And he took a little section of our nature trail, by our nature center and our campground that just was kind of growing over with exotic and invasives. And he got his scouts out, and it was interesting watching the scouts learn how to use a shovel. Yeah, learning to use a shovel, learning how to dig. I thought we were just going to learn how to plant, right? Because, you know, everyone digs too deep. They don't dig wide enough, you know, covering up that root ball and everything. But no, I was like, okay, let's learn to use a shovel. This is a good life skill though, right? And so it's, you know, we're in year 1, so it's still a little bare. And but I'm excited to see how it's going to grow in the next few years. And then really my most favorite project we've done so far is our entrance. And for those of you who have been to the park, we have a very long entrance road. And it was opened up in 1989, right before Hugo. And park staff planted, you know, made it real beautiful. And we've gotten so many compliments through the years of how beautiful your entrance is and how green it is. And it just makes me feel, you know, at ease, because we're getting away from the hustle and bustle of the Strand. I'm like, yep, almost all exotic and invasive species, almost every single one. So for over a decade, I've had a dream and I wanted to just rip everything out and start all over and plant natives. But the dream was never at the right time. It wasn't the right time, certainly wasn't the right funding cycle, and I didn't have all the right players in place, right? It's not just about me, it's about the whole team. And in 2020, everything just fell right into place. I got an internal grant from state parks and we got the money and the funding and the time, and I turned it into an educational component where I brought in people who signed up so we could learn about the values of natives, about the how invasives are detrimental to wildlife. So we got them inside there and I talked about it and what we were going to do and what we're going to rip out and what we're going to plant. And we designed them. I had an intern design this shirt, so they got a free t-shirt and everything like that. And I thought, I'm so awesome. I taught everybody, let's go to the front entrance and to the median, give you some flagging tape and start flagging everything we're going to rip out. And man, to watch their faces and their body language, half of them, they weren't ready. It's a big shift. When we started putting the tape on the crepe myrtles, they're like, what? You're going to take them out? I'm like, yes, we are. You're taking out this big Bradford pear? Yes, we are. But the azaleas are blooming. I know. It's a shift and change. And it even, we had a big debate in the park. Are we going to take out the azaleas or not? Do we leave the azaleas and take out all the others? And I was like, because I just wanted this project to work, I was on the fence. I didn't want to even give an opinion. I wanted the project to go, and I knew the azaleas could like stop it or keep it going. I was willing to keep the azaleas. And finally, my park manager went, take it out. And I went, I'm taking them out tomorrow because I don't know if you're going to change your mind. And then just weeks later, our old park manager came in and everything was gone. I thought, oh, Mr. Turner's going to have a heart attack. But he didn't. So anyway, we did it. And then, but they got over it. And then we had more fun, again, learning to plant. We planted a bunch of plants through the last couple years. Keeping them watered, as y'all know, is always the challenge. But this fall, it was so much fun to see that we had, berries, and we had witch hazel blooming and a lot of different things. And we've gotten a lot of different compliments. The one thing, another challenge that was interesting is still educating both internal and external public and even our park staff. As we were ripping things out, people would stop us and go, hey, can I take that to plant my yard? And when I told them no, they were like, well, why not? You're killing it anyway. And I went, you're right. I'm killing it. Forever dead. And they were horrified. Are you proud of us, Tierney? It's not easy. It's not easy. So anyway, a decade fruition has resulted in 279 plants, at least 14 species. And we still have, we're about 90% done. This spring we'll finish the rest. So it's a really cool project. And then the last one, and I know I have 8 seconds, so give me like 3 more minutes. Sorry. Okay. We got a grant from the Native Plant Society, another section by the Nature Center that was just kind of languishing. And I wanted to plant native plants, but I also want to do something a little bit more creative and fun and different. And if you've gone around lots of different parks, civic, national, lots of different parks, playgrounds, you see all the walking stories where people take a book and then put it outside on a pedestal and go read. And mostly everybody just takes a book they already love and exists, because that's easier, right? Get permission and then put it out there. But no, I like to make things hard on myself and everybody else, because is that a gift or, right? And I said, I don't know why we can't write our own story, and why can't we take photographs for it? How hard can it be, right? So we got, I had a creative staff member who was pretty good with words, and she did the initial first draft, and then she left, and then Scott and I finessed it to our park, finessed it to the photographs that we had or that we needed to take. And so I want to just read the story that we've come up with. So belief in native plants. Through the seasons at Myrtle Beach State Park, many animals look for food to make their start. From goldenrod to passion flower, native plants have incredible power. Our wildlife have no worries, no fear. Natives bloom and seed throughout the year. Nourishing food can always be found as long as our native plants are around. Tree swallows consume lots of wax myrtle berries, while insects pollinate the flowers of laurel cherries. The list of birds who gorge on beautyberry goes on, and the same can be said for the yaupon. Pine cones provide their yummy seeds for squirrels to meet their nutritional needs. Caterpillars must find a host plant to feed, and natives provide this critical need. Tulip poplar brings the swallowtail butterflies, and sweet gum is where the hickory horn devil thrives. Unfortunately, native plants are having to compete, and many of them are dying in defeat. Non-native and invasive plants can be beautiful, but they will not keep insect and bird bellies full. They are full of sugar and not enough fat, and plants like privet are a negative impact. So if you want to have pretty plants and enjoy wildlife too, exotic plants may not be for you. So these plants are not nearly as good as our natives, and at Myrtle Beach State Park, we've gotten creative. We're hoping to educate you about these great plants in hopes that you'll take a native plant stance. So that's just another fun project that we're doing, trying to, combat some of our invasive issues, have fun with the natives, and continue moving forward, doing a lot of different educational projects, planting more natives. And we'll continue to battle. And eventually, I know Maeve will be bringing out that we'll be battling again at Myrtle Beach State Park on March 23rd. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Volunteers for the sea turtles. Nothing to do with plants, sorry.
We have, last year we had over 60 volunteers, and we try to take as many new volunteers as we can. It also depends on how many of the veteran volunteers, if some of them quit, but you can email me in late February and we'll find out if we have enough. But also keep in mind, there's not lots, like our park had absolutely no sea turtle nests last year, and we only relocated 5 or 6 nests from the Myrtle Beach area.
Wow.
So it's a slower area for sure.
Why do you close it?
We relocate them from the city of Myrtle Beach because of all the lights, and there's not a daily patrol. Yeah. Normally we, like Huntington Beach State Park rarely relocates a nest, but it's there's different issues in the city of Myrtle Beach. They also rake every night. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, y'all. I'm gonna just take it out.
We can exit out if you want to practice safe USB.
Yeah.
I can do that and then. give-
Okay, cool.
Thanks. All right. One more second. That last part read just like I felt like I was about to go to sleep and you were reading me a bedtime story all about native plants. It was adorable. All right. And Tierney is going to come up for a special surprise that you didn't just see. All right. And I think we should be good.
That's fine.
Pretty much everyone here knows me, but I see a couple new faces and I'm not sure who's on Zoom. So I am Tierney Rosenstock. I am the chapter vice president and I am the person who handles plant of the month. And for the twist, we have done 12 plant of the months so far. We finished out 2023 and I thought it would be fun if you all get to vote on the 2023 plant of the year. We know, Kara. So these are the 12 species that were featured in Plant of the Month. They were either featured here at the in-person meetings, or they were featured in our newsletters, which come out in between our meetings. And we're gonna be really official about this, and we're just gonna go through each one and do a raise of hands for your favorite and count them.
You only vote once.
You can only vote once, and we already know what you're voting for. So the first one is Ilex verticillata or winterberry. How many people vote for Ilex verticillata?
Wait, do you want to recap them real quick so people can?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Common name for each.
Well, I said the common name, winterberry. Ilex verticillata or winterberry is a deciduous shrub related. It's a holly. It's related to like Yopon holly and other plants like that. It likes wet environments and it is dioecious. It has male and female plants, and you need both to produce fruit. And the fruit are eaten by birds and small mammals. Michella repens or partridge berry is a shade-loving ground cover. It likes acidic soil. It has these really cute twin white flowers that show up in the spring, followed by bright red berries, which people thought partridges like to eat, but they're eaten by a lot of different forest ground birds and mammals as well. Cercis canadensis, the red bud tree. These are also deciduous trees. They can grow in full sun to part shade. They are medium-sized trees, getting to 25 or 30 feet. They produce these beautiful flowers in the spring before any leaves come out. So they are just covered in these pink colors. Yes, really, really good substitute for crepe myrtles. And the flowers are edible and they're high in vitamin C. Breccia frutescens is the sea oxeye. It is a subshrub, a semi-woody perennial plant that grows in dune and sandy areas along the coast. Favorite of many pollinator species. Coreopsis lanceolata or lance leaf coreopsis. These are just really happy flowers. They are a high seed producing perennial, loved by pollinators. They love the sun. They can handle part shade. And yeah, they're about, I don't know, 3 feet tall, something like that. If Dia was here, she would argue with me that they get like this, but and then we have Dionaea miscipula. Yep, you're gonna make me show that I can't pronounce all scientific names. This is the Venus flytrap. You wouldn't know it from the picture because it's a picture of the flower. Venus flytraps are carnivorous. For those of you who don't know, they only grow in South and North Carolina in the entire world, and Horry County is the last place we have a stable population in South Carolina. Uniola paniculata or sea oats. This is a very important plant for dune restoration and stability. They get these really beautiful seed heads on them, and they just are great for, they're that plant that when you go out on the dunes, they're just covering all of the dunes, and they have deep tap roots and horizontal roots, so they're really good for sand stabilization. Enothera riparia or common name. What? Yeah, it's primrose, but it's a newly described species that was just split from frutescens, and it basically just grows along the riverbanks. So that's really cool. brand new species, just split out. Lespedeza virginica, or the common Lespedeza. It's a legume, so it is related to like sweet peas and other plants like that, and it fixes nitrogen. I just love it. Those little flowers are so cute. Euthymia caroliniana. I have no idea what the common name is for that. It is a relative of goldenrod, but it is much shorter. It is probably only maybe 1.5 to 2 feet tall at the most. And it has this like flat top inflorescence. It's just really gorgeous. That picture is from my yard and I didn't plant it. It just showed up and is doing its thing. Uniola paniculata, common name.
That's ground.
Oh.
That's groundsel.
I didn't change the name. Sorry, folks. I don't remember what the, Baccharis, thank you. Baccharis. Another male, female, species. The females have these really pretty tufty flowers. They are tolerant of salt, and they are semi-evergreen. And last but not least, oh, I'm really gonna screw this one up. Phorandendron leocarpum. That is mistletoe. Mistletoe is native to South Carolina. And I thought it was appropriate for the Christmas season, holiday season month. They are hemiparasites, so they actually can produce their own food from photosynthesis, but they can't source their own water. So they tap into tree branches to get that water. That's why you always see the clusters of them up in the trees. They can't grow in the ground. Okay. All right, how many people for Ilex verticillata winterberry? No love for winterberry. I'll pull up the chat at the end to add those votes in. How many people for partridgeberry or Michella repens?
So many choices.
How many people for Cercis canadensis redbud?
Yeah.
How many people for Boricchia frutescens oxeye, sea oxeye? How many people for Coreopsis lanceolata, lance leaf Coreopsis? Only one hand counts.
Toes, finger.
Venus flytraps. Third. Uniola, sea oats.
That's my vote too.
Okay. Enothera riparia, the new species of primrose. 1. Okay. Lespedeza virginica. Euthymia caroliniana. Don't know the common name. Not sure it has one. Okay. Baccharis. And mistletoe. Nice. All right, let me see what we got in the chat. Oh, you got them already? Okay.
It's a 3-way tie.
I have no contingency plan for a tie. We'll vote again on those 3. Okay. Okay. All right. How many for Michella, partridgeberry?
Yes, 1 for Michelle. Oh, I'm sorry. Do we need to do that again? Well.
Yeah, well.
Oh, yeah, don't forget your clicker. How many for Cercis? Redbud.
Yeah, 10 in the room. 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 10 in the room.
Not online.
Not online? All right. And Coreopsis.
Not online, maybe you say tell the people online to.
We got a red button. Oh, they're coming through right now.
The one cello, the first cello was counted.
Okay.
I got 8 people in the room for Coreopsis, and I see 1 online.
And 2 for red bud. And 1 more for Coreopsis. Where are we? Do we have another tie?
There's more. There's more.
Did you get? Did you get 2 more from a cello from online?
I don't even know.
Wow.
More?
Are you sure?
I mean, I didn't bet on it.
I like the cello too.
All right. Henceforth, 2023 shall be known as the year of Michello Repents. Thanks, everybody.
Good job.
Woo!
At least you're in the running. Never the bride, always the bridesmaid.
Okay, now that that's through, we are starting Plant of the Month 2024. So this will be our first species of 2024. And I decided to pick Ceratiola ericoides. Common names, as you see here, I would say that I see sandhill rosemary the most. I'm a little bit of a scientific name nerd, and I've been trying to get back into understanding where they come from. Ceratiola just is in reference to the fact that the plant resembles a rosemary plant, whereas ericoides, so oides means looks like, and erica is a species or a genus of plants, the heathers and the heaths. And so it means that this plant looks like a rosemary, but it also looks like a heath plant. The heath plant part is pretty interesting because it is in the family Ericaceae, or the heath family, which it shares with plants you're probably familiar with, like blueberries, rhododendrons, and plants like that. It is a shrub, a woody shrub, evergreen, likes full sun and grows to 4 to 6 feet. I've also seen heights as high as 8 feet. It really likes very, very xeric or very dry habitats with sugar sand, as they call it, where it's like that pure white. It almost looks like snow of maritime and sandhill dunes. And we all love plants that we can plant in our garden, but I also like to highlight plants that are not necessarily something you would plant in your garden or can easily find in a nursery, because they are part of our natural heritage and our biodiversity. So this plant, unfortunately, is critically imperiled, or vulnerable in most of its range. It is native to South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida, where it likes to grow in the coastal plains for the most part because it likes those sandy, dry dune environments. There is a small population in, I guess you can't see the pointer, but there is a small population that actually goes through the middle of the state and into Georgia. So for the most part, it's on the coast, but then there's this strip of populations that is south west of Columbia and then goes down into Georgia. It is a dioecious plant, which means that it has both male and female plants. The flowers for male and female are on separate plants. It is wind pollinated, not insect pollinated. I was able to find pictures of both of the different kinds of plants, but they didn't say whether they were the male or the female. I would have guessed that these were the female flowers, but I'll show you in a minute why they're not. The fruits have to be on the female plant because that's where the reproduction, the seeds get developed. But here's those dry, round, papery flowers. So I guess this is the female plant. The fruits are drupes, similar to cherries, where they have that hard stone seed in the middle. The plants are actually allelopathic. I know we hear this a lot with invasive species, but some of our natives do it too, and it just helps them get a little bit of a competitive edge sometimes. So the seeds either have to drop and fall far enough away from the mother plant that they're not inhibited by that allelopathy, which just means that the plant can exude, the mature plant can exude some chemicals which inhibits germination of other species around it. Or the mother plant has to die and then the seeds will germinate from underneath it. So it's sort of interesting. These are the leaves. I think we can all tell why it looks like a rosemary plant. They're small, narrow, needle-like, and are in whorls of 4 to 6 around the stem. These are the stems. The new stems are very tomentose, or very hairy, very fuzzy. And then they kind of lose their hair and become more gray and scaly as they age. Now, I found this super interesting. When we talk about native plants and their associations with insects, we're usually talking about pollinators, and we're usually talking about bees and butterflies, things that are cute and fuzzy or big and beautiful and have bright colors. But since this plant is wind pollinated, it doesn't make big, bright, beautiful flowers, and insects don't feed on the pollen. So what good is it, right? Well, there's a lot of other ways that our native plants can support our insects. And this happens to be a jewel bug. I was able to find one study that was trying to evaluate the insects that utilize this species. And they found 1 species of stink bug and 2 species of jewel bugs. And this jewel bug was exclusively found on female plants. And so it is assumed that it eats the fruit. And so this little guy, this is an important food source for this insect, and that insect is part of our biodiversity. So I just thought that that was really interesting. And that is the first plant of the month of 2024. Question?
Why is it so endangered in South Carolina?
Probably, my guess has to do with its really specific habitat type that it needs, and there's not a lot of that available. And on the coast where it is available, we build all of our houses. That would be my guess.
Is it edible?
It is not edible. Thank you for bringing that up. I meant to mention that earlier. It may be called sandhill rosemary, but it is not edible like a rosemary. Do not eat it. If you do see it or think you see it, pop it in an iNaturalist so that scientists can document those populations. All right, thanks everybody.
All right, so I'm gonna share the upcoming events we have for the next few months. Okay. So our first field trip of the year is already full, but it's going to be a tour of Brook Green Gardens with an emphasis on their native plant collections and winter beauty in the garden. So we're really excited for that. We'll definitely have more field trips to Brook Green Gardens in the future. Yeah, question?
I have a question about that. I tried about 4 hours after you posted it, and I saw the time, it was full.
It felt like that.
So it's possible for anybody who goes along with it to take photos and then post them on a newsletter, so with some maybe brief comments, so that we can virtually accompany you.
Oh, that's a nice
I mean, it
idea.
doesn't have to be elegant, fancy, edited, just, is that possible?
Oh yeah, well, we can take photos. And we usually try to take photos to include in future newsletters anyway, just to share what the chapter is up to. And like I said, we'll definitely plan to have more trips to Brook Green in the future.
What time?
10? Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I should have mentioned, Lucy and Jason, with Brook Green Gardens are gonna help lead that tour. And thank you so much to them for organizing it.
Do you monitor the wait list and see if people cancel?
We will, yeah, we'll let folks know if a space opens up, and we really, put a cap just to keep it a manageable group size. So like we said, we'll definitely do this again.
This doesn't have to be with the Brook Green thing, but I noticed in the, in talking about invasives, is kudzu not big down here?
Not as much as like in the foothills, but we definitely have it.
I just been living 20 years up in the Charlotte area,
Mhm.
and I know it's pretty bad there.
Yeah. It's still an invasive here, but yeah, it does seem more common in like the Piedmont area.
Yes.
Yep, yeah, good question. All right, other events. Oh, let me just check the chat real quick. Yes, there is a wait list on the Eventbrite registration page. So another exciting event coming up in February, we are going to have a winter seminar with Patrick McMillan, who you may be familiar with as one of the authors of sort of our wildflower Bible right here, one of the best field guides for looking at native plants in South Carolina. You might also be familiar with Patrick from ETV. He had, I think it was just called Expeditions with Patrick McMillan, the TV show. He's worked with the South Carolina Botanical Garden up in Clemson, so we're really excited. Patrick's talk is going to focus on just the ecology, the natural history of the PD region, so that we can all have an understanding of what naturally grows here to help us in our efforts with native plant gardening. So that'll be a Zoom webinar. We'll send out a registration link for that soon, but save the date. It's going to be February 13th in the evening, right before Valentine's Day, because we love plants. Also coming up in February, we're going to have a training on how to use the app iNaturalist. So this is really based around our goal of having volunteers that can participate in BioBlitz events or citizen science projects, monitoring for rare plants. Does anyone here use iNaturalist already? Yeah, it's a great tool, right? But if it's not something you've used before, I partnered with my employer, the North Inlet Winyah Bay Reserve, which runs our local master naturalist program. And so my coworker, Jen Plunkett, is going to lead this training on how to use iNaturalist. It's a really cool tool. It helps you to identify things. It's a little bit of a social network where you can comment on people's identifications, get their advice on what an organism might be. And we're hoping that we'll have a trained group of volunteers that we know we can reach out to if we are planning a BioBlitz. And if you've never heard of a BioBlitz, that's like, sometimes they're pretty extreme where it's like for 24 hours straight, you catalog every single living thing you can in a certain area. Ours will probably be more casual, but with the goal of cataloging biodiversity. And this can actually be really helpful for our state botanists, like DNR's botany program. They would really appreciate like volunteer data. So if you're interested, you can register on the North Inlet Winyah Bay website. There's a QR code.
Maybe
Yeah.
there will be a bio blitz with guacamole.
Oh, good point.
And that'll start like right after this training, basically, so.
Mhm.
It'll be a good training to get if you want to participate. And there will be prizes for cool stuff.
Yes.
The geographic extent of the Bible.
We're gonna look, it's hard to, sorry, May, to,
You're good. Go for it.
with the projects, it's hard to restrict it to a watershed, but since we focus on the Waccamaw, it'll be the counties that the Waccamaw is in. So Georgetown, Horry, Brunswick, Columbus, and Blake.
And we're also planning some BioBlitz events at the North Inlet Winyah Bay Reserve. So if you want to get out into the marsh, onto the Hobcob Barony property, that's a really cool way to get out there. Yeah. So our next chapter meeting will be Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Same time, same place. So we hope to see you there. And then Ranger Ann alluded to our upcoming invasive species removal volunteer day. This was a really fun event last year, a really worthwhile event. I know Ranger Ann opened our eyes to the scope of the problem, but it felt really good to chip away at it and go to battle. So that's going to be March 23rd, a Saturday, and we'll send out a registration link for that in the near future as well. And I think that's not all. We have the date for our spring plant sale. Our plant sale in the fall was such a huge success, thanks to the hard work of Tierney and the plant sale committee. So save the date for May 4th. It'll be in the same location. If you were able to come to our last one, it was, what do we call it? The town square, the town green. Yeah.
It's in downtown Conway on the corner of Laurel Street and Third Ave, about a block away from the farmer's market.
Awesome. And it's the first weekend of the farmer's market in Conway,
Yes,
right?
the
So
first
that's
weekend of the
full
farmer's
timing.
market. We have submitted our special event application with the city and we're just waiting for that permit.
Yeah.
That's our date.
So save the date, come get some plants. And that's it for me.
Yeah, so does anyone have any other events on your radar? Yes.
So Brookgreen Gardens is having our 2024 Garden Symposium, March 9th. It's the Sustainable Living Garden is our theme. Kara is going to be one of our panelists there. We do have early bird registration going on now, if you're a member of Brookgreen Gardens, but we have a lot of great things going on there. I have a flyer with information if anybody is interested, so please feel free to take, and I think this group would really enjoy it.
Yeah, apologies for not putting that on our slides, but that will be in our newsletter. Yeah. Anyone else?
And then the spring and fall plant sales.
Oh, yeah.
Spring plant sale, I think, and other Brookgreen horticulture, if I'm wrong, correct me, I believe the spring sale is April 20th. And I'm not sure the fall sale, that's usually,
I think I have the September. I think it's September 21st.
that sounds about right. It's usually like the last or last Saturday of September.
Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, I brought some seed if anyone's interested, probably consider trying to raise it. So, you know, so.
Awesome.
I'm at cooking with the Board of Farmers Botanical Garden and the bustling metropolis of Lake City, South Carolina. So I'm a long time Low Country chapter member. But finally switched allegiances.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, welcome and thanks for bringing gifts. If anyone was not here at our last meeting in November, Greta did a great presentation on winter sowing, and we still have some of those seeds if you also want some seeds. Yeah. How's everyone's winter sowing going?
Started. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anyone?
I wanted to welcome, we have a new member, Dana, I don't know if Dana's here, but welcome if you're here. Just joined this week,
Woo!
and hopefully if you, Christina, just moved down here from Charlotte, so hopefully Christina was gonna go home and join tonight.
We have membership forms.
Yeah.
And we have membership here, you do it all online. And if you don't wanna have to rent, if you wanna check the list, just to get your dues are due, otherwise I'll be sending you a nice little email. Saying your dues are due. But if you wanna check the list, come see me. And if you don't wanna have to think about it, you can go online and set it up as recurring, and then you don't have to think about it.
Woo! New membership chair.
And also, speaking of Moore Farms Botanical Garden, Charlene Johnson's gonna be doing also a full day gardening with native plants symposium on February 24th. So it's $35, need to register online, but I've taken classes from her before, and she's awesome, so I highly recommend it. And Moore Farms Botanical Garden is pretty awesome as well.
Thank you.
If any of you do come across events that you think should be included in our newsletter, you can email Grand Strand Publicity at SCNPS.org or use our normal email address, which is grandstrand@scnps.org. And we'll try to include those in our newsletter. Anyone else? Cool. That's all I have. So now's your chance to mix and mingle and to talk to other people about plants or whatever you'd like. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so the guys know we're about dates, so let's look down. Elliot, okay, Sandy, John,